Welcome back, everybody. Andy coming at you with these notes. First of all, I want to address some comments that were made previously. I use PMG and PCGS both. I show you guys the majority of what I get back from PCGS because that's who I use for basically 95% of what I grade. I've explained this before. PCGS turnaround time is tenfold to PMG. Bulk orders get done within 10 to 12 weeks. PMG is the 6 to 8 months. I had a walkthrough at PCGS get done and back to me in 3 days. I had a walkthrough at PMG get done in basically 8 weeks. So the equation of the value is how much time do I have to tie up into the note. Now, just like automobiles, there's got to be a Ford and a Chevy and a Kia and all these different companies. Is there room in the paper grading world for multiple companies? Absolutely. Right now we have the top two, which is PMG and PCGS. A lot of people say this isn't a reputable company. I'm here to tell you that this company now currently employs more of the top graders and finalizers in the currency industry than PMG does. And you can say that's my opinion, but it's not my opinion. It's a fact. I know a lot of the big time graders, and a lot of them work for PCGS at this point. Anyways, we're going to get right into it. Looks like these are some bulk orders that are coming back to me. Get them opened up. But, the other thing is I love comments. I love reading what people have to say. I love the questions. One of the good questions the other day was the backplate 295, why it's an error. And I commented and I said, hey, that backplate was reserved for Fort Worth and it was used on a DC. And I talk about the macro and the micro of the styles of the fonts. So, that's another portion of it. I try not to get too nerdy with the stuff that goes on YouTube. Part of it is that there's different levels of collectors, and you either understand the difference between micro, macro, mule, non-mule, then districts, and how far down the rabbit hole do I need to go. I really don't want to bore you guys with jargon and stuff that just doesn't. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but it's a higher collector level terminology. A lot of people, when they hear things like backplate error, they think that it's like an error note. Well, technically it's an error note, but it's more in the sense of the note being an error in the manufacturing process with the plate, not an ink smear or a double printing or things like that. So we're going to get kicked off right away. I'm going to move the camera just a smidge. Hope everybody's well, but where I was going with some of the comments was, guys, I don't really care to read negative stuff. I don't like people telling me that I make bad business decisions or I'm a bad. I had somebody actually call me a bad dealer on YouTube, and I do these videos for the sake of the industry and being able to feed my family and to help new collectors. I really, really am a big advocate of promoting what I do. This is what I love. I love paper money. I love being in the business. I love the collectors. I love everything about it. So you're probably not going to find a bigger advocate for being able to answer questions, promote paper money, create some videos and some contents for you guys to watch. So with further avail, no further ado, let's go. Funnyback 28A and 67. I actually put this on my sheet as a 67. This has got impeccable margins. Really, really nice centering. Great color. This came out of a collection I recently bought. A little bit tougher block, EA block, and problem-free for 28A. Yes, it's circulated. Uncirculated would be worth a lot. Speaking of uncirculated for EA block, oh, there one is. Sorry if the lighting, for some reason I can't get the lighting right today, but everything kind of looks paper tony, but it's not, I can assure you. I'll move it like this just a smidgen. I'm in a different streaming booth. XA block, 28A, a little bit better block also. So 65. Sometimes when I'm doing grading submissions, I will, oops, sorry guys, I will actually comment on my submissions what I feel like the notes would grade. UA, another tough block, 55. I will actually write on my submission form, tough block, X amount known, what I feel like the note would grade, what I feel like the note's worth. These are all things that help me when it comes to dissect the notes when they come back from grading. So you're going to see a lot of Funnybacks. This collection had the majority of all the blocks known for Funnybacks. 63 flat. Does have a little bit of a small stain, so I agree with that. Funnybacks are one of my favorite notes. Very short-lived. Basically, you had 28 plain to 28E, and then you would have a as-made paper wrinkles. I wonder if I could show you guys what that is on the camera. And then you had a short printing in 1934. Let me see if I can find the paper wrinkle, and I can kind of show you. A lot of people confuse paper wrinkles with folds. And if you look right up here in this margins, you see this almost looks like it was super wet and then it dried and then it shrunk. That's what as-made paper wrinkles look like. You can actually have this throughout the note. I've seen it through the portrait. I've seen it through the serial number. It almost looks like a minor gutter fold, but it's not a gutter fold. 64 flat, a little bit worn on the corner, and a small stain right there. Another 64 flat, VA block. A little obscured on the cut. 64Q. These are the kind of notes, I just love these notes. They're going to sell really fast. There's collectors that do it by block. They do it by serial number. They do it by the last two digits. There's so many different ways to collect Funnybacks. It's a really nice 65. If I was in the grading room, I probably would have 66 this note. Just because, oh, it is a 6. Well, there you go. Answering my own questions. Here's another 7 on the XA. One of these I actually thought was going to 68, so I actually wrote that on my... A 68 on a Funnyback would be unbelievable. Excuse me. YA block 66. A question I get asked all the time, where do we sell notes? We have a website. We have 2 eBay stores. We have direct sales via Facebook. I'm not hard to find, guys. It's super, super easy. If you can Google Kearney Coin Center, you can find everything you need to know about us. So we don't do a lot of direct phone sales because it takes way too much time. We prefer to make it quick and painless. It's a really nice 66, but the registration shows that it's not quite a 7. 28, lots of 28As, AB block. There's some real sleepers in here. BB. I think the DB is the rarest one, I believe. No, DA. I'm sorry, misspoke. DA is the rarest block for 28A. DB would be more common. So lots of Funnybacks. This collection that we purchased was pretty much complete with every single Funnyback and silver certificate block known. I think he was missing four or five notes from the complete series of known notes. He did have a one known silver certificate. It was quite special. We sold that right away to one of the big collectors. 28A and 66Q. IB block at 64. IB is fairly common. These are very affordable. You're looking at like $100 to $110 a note for the more common stuff. The better blocks you would think would retail for much more, but usually it's 10 to 20% more. And then if it's super scarce, like less than 5 known, you could be looking at quite a premium jump. JB block. As far as accuracy goes between the grading services, both services miss things. I've had notes upgrade from PMG holders to PCGS, and I've had notes upgrade from PCGS to PMG. Sometimes I think PCGS is a little bit tougher on light problems like teller grease or things of that nature, or they're split between 64 and 65. But sometimes I think PMG is a smidge too tight also between 64 65. So, you know, if you've looked at a lot of notes and you understand, this one did come back with some minor stains. It does have a little bit of staining right here. I don't feel that should have received a comment. Like I said, very minor on the edge. However, seems a bit overzealous for this that's most likely from counting. Oops, throwing notes. But both services have their quirks, and if you're in the business and you look at a lot of notes, you kind of understand where they're tight and where they're loose and where to send the notes for the best possible grade. So getting into some 34 series, 63Q. You'll see AA, BB, there's 65Q. Here's the DA in 66. That's a little bit better. EA in 66. Now the guy that collected these, I wouldn't say he was so much for quality. He was more for finding a note that fits the grade and the block and it fits into the collection. Yes, there was some anomalies where he had some really excitingly great condition notes, but for the most part, I would say everything was conditionally, it was pretty well matched or equivalent to. 35E star note in 63. 35E note in 63. Stars. 65. A lot of people wonder why these grade 65 with this long right margin. This would have been the edge of the sheet. So if you could draw an imaginary line and say, okay, so the centering left, right, up, down is really nice, and then you look at the back and you kind of draw an imaginary line, the centering is on par for a 65. So that long left or long right part is because it's the edge of the sheet, and that was never cut off. Another 65. Some nice 35E stars here. Here's a 66. Star D block. 65. And he had a lot of star notes. All blocks, all denominations. It was quite the collection. It's really, for a collector to put together, there's something like 3,000 notes. That's really, it's really unbelievable that he was able to do that in his lifetime. There was, like I said, there were some impeccable rarities in the mix, but as far as as far as other notes outside of $1 bills, they were mostly all $1 issues. He did have some $5 silvers, some $10 silvers, a lot of Hawaii notes, a lot of North Africas, more 35E star notes. Different blocks. People like to collect the star notes by the block, star A, star B, star C. Really tough to make a star note in 67. I've had them before, but mostly 6s are kind of what hold the premium on the market. 3s and 4s are super affordable. That's your probably most likely under your $50 note. When you get into your 5s and 6s, you're starting to look at $70 to $100. And then the end block can make a difference on certain series. Here's a 35A in 66. Wowzers. Thing looks like it was printed yesterday. Really, really nice note. Then you have a 35A and 58Q, which we'll see if we can look real quick. I don't see anything right off the bat that points out that it should be a 58. Under my lights upstairs, I might see something that a little more dictation. $35D narrow star. That's a little bit better. You're looking for subject 18 on these. Subject 12 would be the more common. 35H. 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 Here's a fun serial number. Nearly solid 7s. Here's the matching. So what you have is like a super radar between two notes. Pretty fun. 35G no motto. The scarce 1935C KD block, and this was before they used 999s on sheets, so this would be towards the latter of the printing. 35F star. 35F star. I know I go pretty quick, but Silver Certs are probably one of the most collected series as far as blocks and star notes. So here's a 35A and 63. Really shallow margin on the bottom and the left. This is a lot of times this is how they look. This is just how the cookie crumbles, as they say. Another 35A and 65. Okay, now we're getting into some Funnybacks again, real quick. 28B and 64. Tougher block, the XA 28B and VF25. 35FQI and 64. Must have been a short little run here because 66, 64, 64. Just a nice little run of unks. Unks and gems. Gems and unks. The seal is a little bit obscured bottom too. All right, then there was, here's a couple of little feds out of the deal. Not unk, but nice enough grade to put them in plastic. 28 Kansas City and 55Q. 34C. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you guys, these were sold in an auction raw. These 3 notes, just like this, Kansas City, 10, 5, 10, 20. These were sold as uncirculated raw. So when people ask why grade everything, this locks in the value, and there's no way of me duping or taking advantage of somebody. If I put this in a flip and I put it in my inventory and I called it AU55 that I graded it, somebody would be like, well, that's uncirculated. And they could buy it from me and put it on eBay and sell it raw in auction and call it, choice uncirculated, but technically it's 55. Like here, the 34C wide face at 58. $34C and 53. Now it takes looking at a lot of notes to know what makes a note AU53, what makes a note VF30. This is a really tough note. Minneapolis, light green seal, 30 PPQ. Wowzers. Greeley, Colorado, 67 PPQ. This came out of a fresh little deal that walked up to me. Indiana, Pennsylvania, in 66Q. Great note. 28B, Chicago, and 55Q. This is awesome. This is one of the coolest notes I've probably ever bought. So gutter folds is commonly run up and down vertically. This one runs the long way through the entire note. It's disruptive enough that it goes through the portrait, it's all the way through the note, front and back. So that's pretty awesome. It's also on a 34 light green seal. So very special note. I did pay a heavy premium for it because it was a 34 light green seal. But with that being said, this is probably one of the largest full gutter folds I've ever seen going this way. I've seen them going this way, this way, this way. Never the entirety of the note left or right. So very special. La Crosse, Wisconsin in 58. Nothing, just a note, just a national. Then we have a Louisiana, New Orleans. This is teller grease, folks. This is not staining. This is from people counting money. So that's why they 58 flatted it. It is just a little bit too dirty. You can kind of see it here along the bottom. But it still is a New Orleans note and almost uncirculated and a type 2. So that has that going. Has a few things going for it. Another question somebody asked me, when is Dan and I's video coming out? You know, Dan and I chat, I wouldn't say weekly. We chat enough, but I think he said probably sometime in December we would see the first video. Him and I need to get together and probably start working on the second video. We had a good chat a couple Sundays ago about the direction of how we want to have conversation or dialogue and keep everybody interested in said dialogue without making it so what's the word I want to use, boring, to where we lose folks. Sometimes you can talk too much, and that's one of my biggest fears, is that if I start talking about blocks and varieties and printing quality and how notes were printed and why notes look the way they look, I feel like I'm going to lose not just viewers, but potential viewers in the future. Now, when I go to shows and I get around the other guys that do this side by side with me, do we talk about that stuff? Sometimes. We like to talk about, stuff we've seen, stuff we've been offered. We like to show photos. This is super, super quick here on this part. These are just some nice uncirculated $2 red seals, 2853Bs. And they're all going to grade 4s and 5s, few 6s, probably no 7s. 53 planes for 7 they're rough. They're even harder in 68. So you're going to see a lot of 3s and 4s. That's how the packs come. Wow, there's even a 2. Drop down in the margin. But there's a flat 3. Wow. But these are super, super affordable. They're great entry level. You could put together a nice set of uncirculated $2 red seals. The plastic protects them, you know, so they can't be bent or destroyed. Wow, there's super rare 61 grade. Almost no right-hand margin. And then back to 64. That's how sporadic the sheets are on these. '63, '65. So a lot of just 53 Bs. I most likely, these are just unks that I saved and I put them all into grading. Lots of 3s, 4s, 5s. Another 62, almost no margin. Super long left, edge of the sheet. Anywho, with that being that, these are just, to me, these are just notes. It's a great way to start a new collector. Great for Christmas presents also. If you have that person in your family who you just don't know what to get. Sometimes getting them a note and telling them about it is a great way to create a new collector. We're getting near and dear to the time constraints that I kind of put on these videos. I like to do about 30 minutes. Anyways, guys, let's keep it positive out there. Let's help out everybody and the comments. Let's make comments about notes and ask great questions. I've had some super great questions asked and previously. I just want to address the elephant in the room and say, you know, let's try to keep things in a positive direction. I am in no way going to ever say that you should not send your notes to PMG and you should not send your notes to PCGS. Like I said, I'm an advocate for the industry. I think both grading services have their advantages and disadvantages, and I love everybody that works in our industry greatly, and I love to promote notes. So with that, I hope everybody's doing well. Everything's going good. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving if I don't get you a video by then, and hopefully Santa Claus comes in time and we get some more notes and are able to produce a couple more videos before the fun show in Orlando. And if I'm able to, I'm going to try to do a video from the fun show with some notes that I have. So with that, hope all is well and have a great day.